The point where MR is equal to MC is the point of maximum profit. So this is the point where MR is equal to MC, or MC is cutting the MR from the below at this junction, at this point. So the corresponding quantity is the level of production that will produce maximum, that will result into maximum profit for the monopolist. And another one point that we can think of is that if the firm decides to produce some quantity which is more than QM, say for example this quantity Q2, so at this level marginal revenue is less than marginal cost, isn't it? Marginal cost is here and marginal revenue is here. So in other words, we can say that for producing additional units, the additional revenue is less than additional cost. So that is why it is not beneficial for the monopolist to produce more quantity, because producing more is resulting into more marginal cost than marginal revenue. So that is why this level of production, that is Q2, is not optimal, is not beneficial for the monopolist. And the level where MR is equal to MC is the optimal level of production. So this is another situation where the monopolist is just breaking even, neither making profit nor loss, because this is average revenue curve, and at this point average revenue is equal to average cost. Average revenue is equal to average cost. So that is why there is no profit, no loss, and the monopolist is just breaking even. And this is the third scenario where the average cost is more than average revenue. So average revenue is this point, and the average cost point is above the average revenue, which means cost is more than the revenue per unit, more than the price. Price is PM, but the cost is more than the price, which means the firm is making a loss. The monopolist is making losses. So for today, we are going to discuss another topic, that is price discrimination, which is a concept related with the monopoly. Because a monopolist or a monopoly firm has pricing power. But pricing power. Pricing power means a monopolist can decide the price of the product it is selling, which is not the case in a perfect competition, where every firm is price taker. If the type of the product is a commodity, so and there are a large number of sellers of that commodity item, commodity product, then a single firm cannot impact the price of that product, cannot decide the price of the product. But in case of monopoly, a firm has pricing power. Pricing power means it can decide the price of the product it is selling in the market, and the the more is the degree of monopoly, the more pricing power the monopolist will enjoy. So if there is an absolute monopoly, then the monopolist will enjoy an absolute pricing power. Absolute pricing power means it can decide whatever price it may choose to sell at. So that is called pricing power. So which is not there in case of perfect competition. In perfect competition, every firm is price taker. No firm enjoys pricing power. You might have seen, you might have gone through some news items today nowadays that the prices of FMCG products are going to increase. The biscuits, namkeens, cooking oil, soaps, and shampoo, uh, cream, facial creams, etc. And all FMCG companies are going to increase the prices. And the reason cited in those news items is that uh, the the prices of input cost has increased. So that is why the companies are transferring the input cost to the price to the consumers. So why they are able to transfer the input cost to the consumers? Because they have pricing power. They have pricing power, and they can increase the price. So most of the FMCG companies enjoy, this kind of pricing power. Some companies enjoy more pricing power. Some companies have slightly less pricing power. So if it's an absolute monopoly, only a single firm, then it normally enjoys absolute pricing power. It can decide whatever price it may, it may decide to sell the product at whatever price it chooses to. So that concept is known as price discrimination, which is possible in case of monopoly. And to some extent, in the monopolistic market, there are few firms. So it is possible in case of monopoly also, and monopolistic competition, which is a middle way between a monopoly market and a perfect competition. That is monopolistic competition. So it is possible, the price discrimination is possible in monopolistic competition as well as monopoly. What is this price discrimination? Price discrimination means charging different prices to different consumers for similar goods. The goods is similar, the product is similar, but the company is charging different prices from different consumers. This practice is known as price discrimination. Why? You might have studied in the marketing class that there are different types of pricing strategies, because price is one of the P's of marketing. There are 5 P's, 7 P's. So one of the important P of marketing is price. So and there are various strategies related with pricing, and but the ultimate goal of pricing strategies is to exploit the consumer surplus. What is consumer surplus? Consumer surplus is the difference between what a consumer is willing to pay and what the consumer actually pays. Let me show you the form of a graph. This is demand curve. This is price. This is Q. If the firm decides to sell at P1, then it will be able to sell this much of quantity, that is Q1. So, and the total revenue of the firm is this region is actually the total revenue of the firm. P1 multiplied by Q1. That is total revenue of the firm. But what about this region? This region. And what about this region? That is B. This A region actually represents those consumers who are actually willing to pay more price for the same product. So it means if the firm decides to increase the price to P2, then it will find some buyers, some takers for the product, even if it increases the price from P1 to P2. But since it is charging only a single price from the market, so basically the opportunity of earning more profit is, the company is not able to exploit the opportunity of earning extra profit and more profit. So this region is being ignored. So if the firm is deciding to sell only at a single price, it means it is foregoing an opportunity for making more profit. So in other words, it is not able to exploit this region A. Similarly, if the firm decides to sell at P0, that is a price which is less than P1. So at this price, it will be able to sell this much of quantity, that is Q0. But since it is selling at a price P1, so, so there are consumers who are willing to purchase the product at price P0, but since there is only a single price in the market, so they are not able to purchase. So this region, that is B region, so this region is also being ignored by the seller or marketer or the monopolist market. And this area, similarly, this area is known as consumer surplus. This area is known as consumer surplus. Consumer surplus. The consumer surplus is a difference between what a consumer is willing to pay and what the consumer actually pays when buying it. And price discrimination is basically to exploit the consumer surplus, to exploit this region, because this region is already being exploited, this box, but this triangular area at the upper side and at the lower side is being ignored because of the reason. What is the reason? The reason is that the firm is selling only at a single price. So if the firm is selling at a single price, there are certain consumers who are willing to pay more than the price fixed by the company. Similarly, there are consumers who are ready to purchase the product if the price is decreased. So the first example is for the region A, and the second example is for the region B. And exploiting these region A and B, we can go for the strategy that is known as price discrimination. Price discrimination means charging different prices from different consumers. Charging different prices from different consumers for the same product. The product is same, but we are selling the product to different consumers and customers at different prices. And the objective is to exploit the consumer surplus. So all pricing strategies are ways to capture consumer surplus and transferring it to the producer. Now let us see some clear graph. This is the same thing that I just explained to you. This D is demand curve, and this is cost curve, and this is P star. So if the firm is selling at P star, at price P star, so it has to sell quantity Q star. So this will be the total revenue of the firm. But if the firm increases the price from P star to P1, then there are certain consumers and customers who are actually willing to purchase even at a price P1. So this is the region of consumer surplus. Similarly, if the firm decides to reduce the price, it will find more takers and more buyers for the same product. So this region, that is, this is also consumer surplus. So both these regions are combinedly known as consumer surplus. And how can we exploit, how can we take advantage of consumer surplus? By charging different prices from different consumers. Now let us see what is written here. a firm can charge on its from price, charge a higher price to consumers willing to pay more than P star, thereby capturing some of the consumer surplus under region A of the demand curve. The firm would also like to sell to consumers willing to pay prices lower than P star, but only if doing so does not entail lowering the price to other consumers. In that way, the firm would also capture some of the surplus under region B of the demand curve. So both region A and region B are combinedly known as consumer surplus, and consumer surplus can be captured by price discrimination or by the practice of charging different prices from different consumers. Now let us see how it is possible. Is it possible to charge different prices from different consumers? So the requirement for successful price discrimination, a successful strategy of the price discrimination has three requirements. The first requirement that I already told you, that the firm should have some market power or monopoly. At least it should have, the market should be a monopolistic market or monopoly market. Market power means, I mean, it is tending towards, monopoly. Uh, so the firm must possess some market power or pricing power. It must be able to decide on the price of the product it is selling in the market. This is the first condition. If this is not the case, then price discrimination cannot be practiced by a firm. So that is why a firm which is operating in a perfect competition market cannot practice price discrimination. It can only be practiced by a firm which has some market power or pricing power. Some consumers must have a greater willingness to pay for the product than other consumers, and the firm must be able to know what prices customers are willing to pay. And there should be, different categories of consumers and customers. Uh, some consumers should be able to pay more, and there are some other consumers and customers who are not able to pay more, and but they are ready to purchase the product at a lower price. So existence of different types of consumers who are willing to pay more or less should be there. Then the third condition, the firm must be able to divide up or segment the market for the product. The firm should be able to, divide and segment the market into different groups based on certain criteria, uh, to decide different prices for different groups of the consumers. So that segmentation should be possible. The nature of the consumer should be such that the segmentation should be possible. The market for the product, so that the consumers who buy the product at a lower price are not able to resell at a higher price. Um, in other words, price discrimination will not work if arbitrage is possible. Similarly, arbitrage should not be possible. If the firm is charging different prices from two customers, then one customer should not be able to sell to other customers. Then what will happen? The customer who is getting at a lower price will start buying from the market and start selling the product to the other customers who are not able to purchase at a lower price. So this practice is called arbitrage. Arbitrage means benefiting from price difference in the market. This practice is known as arbitrage. So another condition for price discrimination is that arbitrage should not be possible. I mean, a customer should not be able to resell the product immediately for making profit. So that is the third condition. And so if these three conditions are satisfied, then price discrimination strategy can be practiced by a firm. First degree of price discrimination is charging each customer her reservation price. And what is the reservation price? Reservation price is the maximum price that a customer is willing to pay for a product. So if you ask someone honestly, and she and he answers the question honestly, that what is the maximum price that you can pay for this product? So the answer will be reservation price. Reservation price is the maximum price that one can pay for a particular product. And first degree of price discrimination means charging everyone his and her reservation price for the product. So this is called first degree of price discrimination. In this case, there will not be any consumer surplus, and the firm will capture the whole area of consumer surplus. There won't be any consumer surplus area left. Also known as perfect price discrimination. The first degree of price discrimination is also known as perfect discrimination, price discrimination. And so graphically, this can be shown like this, that there are a lot of consumers and customers, and the firm is charging different prices from different consumers and support P1, P2, P3, P4, P5. So every customer is getting a different price from the marketer and seller of that product. And in the real world, is it possible? Is there any way to charge different price from different products? So yes, it is very difficult to charge different prices from different products, but through auction, the first degree of price discrimination is possible. First degree is possible only through auction. It is usually impractical to charge each and every consumer different price unless there are only a few customers. But if there are few customers, then it will be slightly easier. But if the number of customers is very large, then it becomes very difficult to sell the same product to every buyer at a different price. A firm usually does not know the reservation price of each customer. Even if we ask customers what is your reservation price, most probably most respondents will not answer the question honestly. They will not answer the question honestly. They will not reveal their reservation price. So that is one another difficulty with practicing the price discrimination. But first degree of price discrimination at least can be attempted through the practice of auction. Auction means the firm will start, from a higher price, and it will start, decreasing the price. So initially, that is why, I mean, you may relate to this concept that whenever a new product comes into the market, initially the price is higher, then it starts reducing. Similarly, say for example, iPhone. So whenever new iPhone comes in the market, the prices are very high initially. Then it starts, decreasing after some time. And when the new version of iPhone comes, the older version, the prices of older versions comes down drastically. So that can be, not actually an exact example of auction, but there are, this is somewhat related with the, concept of auction, because, and what is the purpose of all these practices is to capture consumer surplus. So initially, only those people who are willing to pay more will purchase the iPhone or whatever is the product. And but later on, when the prices will come down, then even those customers who were not earlier willing to pay a higher price will purchase the product because it is now available at a lower price. Now, the second degree of price discrimination. Second degree of price discrimination is the practice of charging different prices per unit for different quantities of the same good. So, if you are purchasing more quantity of the same product, you will get discount or you will get a lower price. And if you are purchasing a lower amount of the quantity, you will not get a discount, and you will be charged a higher price. So the difference of the price that exists between retail price and the wholesale price. So this practice is known as second degree of price discrimination, charging different prices from different consumers based on the volume of transaction that they are indulging in, based on the number of product, based on the quantity of the product they are purchasing. So if they are purchasing more quantity, give them some discount, and if they are not purchasing a lot of quantity, then charge higher price from them. So this practice is known as second degree of price discrimination. Practice of charging different prices per unit for different quantities of the same goods and service. So similarly, say for example, if you're going on a tour, and then the cost of that tour that will be quoted to you from a travel agency will be higher. But if you are going in the group, the unit cost of the tour that will be quoted by the travel agency will always be lower. So they charge from a single person or a couple or small group lesser amount of they charge more from them. But if the group is large, then they charge slightly less amount of money from them. So this is known as second degree of price discrimination. Similar thing, this is also known as block pricing, practice of charging different prices for different quantities or blocks of goods. So if you purchase, for example, 1,000 quantity of a certain product, then the price will be this. But if you will purchase 10,000 quantity of the same product from us, then we can provide you at a lower price. So this is known as block pricing. So block pricing is one example of price discrimination, second degree of price discrimination, which is based on the volume and quantity of the product that the buyer is selling, that the buyer is buying and the seller is selling. The third degree of price discrimination. This is the most easiest of the three degrees of price discrimination. Third degree of price discrimination means dividing the market into various segments and charging different prices from different segments. And the segmentation, the basis of segmentation can be demographic or psychographic factor. Uh, but the point here is that we are able to divide the market into different groups, and we are able to charge different prices from them. So prices, the practice of dividing consumers into two or more groups with separate demand curves and charging different prices to each group. Uh, so one of the example of third degree of price discrimination could be tatkal ticket. So tatkal ticket, those who are the IRCTC is charging more price from those who are booking tatkal ticket and those who are booking normal ticket. So both are traveling in the same coach. The services provided to both of them is equal, but the prices which has been charged from these two customers are different. So this is the Tatkal ticket and normal ticket is the example of third degree price discrimination. Similarly, airlines also practice price discrimination. So if you are booking a ticket, airline ticket for tomorrow's journey, then the price will be higher. And but if you are booking the ticket and you are planning your journey after 3 months, then the price that you will get will be slightly lower. So this discrimination is based on the time, because so on the basis of time we are segmenting the market. So that is another intertemporal price discrimination. This is also known as intertemporal price discrimination. Price discrimination based on the time. Practice of separating consumers with different demand functions into different groups by charging different prices at different points of time. Another example of intertemporal price discrimination could be charging a higher price in the night shift and lower price in the day shift, or charging higher price in the peak hour and charging lower price in the normal hour. So Uber, Ola, these taxi booking apps, They charge higher prices during peak hours. So when the office timing is completed at in the evening at 6 and 7, so normally they charge some extra price during that time, that is peak hour. Similarly, you might have noticed Swiggy and Zomato. So when the rush is more, they charge extra from the consumers. So that is also a practice that can be fitted into the third degree of price discrimination based on time, intertemporal price discrimination, charging different prices at different point of times. So if it's a non-rush time, then charge them a normal price, and if it's a rush hour, then charge them some extra amount of money. So this practice is known as intertemporal price discrimination. Intertemporal means different time points of time, charging different prices at different point of time. So these two are basically examples: peak load pricing, practice of charging higher prices during peak periods when capacity constraints cause marginal cost to be high. So during peak hours, the prices are increased, and during normal hour, the prices are normal. Two-part tariffs, form of pricing in which consumers are charged both an entry and a usage price. This is also a kind of pricing where prices are structured in such a way that there is a fixed price for entry, and then there is a usage price. So this is also known as two-part tariff. Then another example of third degree of price discrimination is versioning. Versioning means a similar product comes into various versions. For example, a mobile, you might have noticed this. The same mobile comes into 32 GB RAM, 32 GB uh, hard disk, 62, 64 GB memory, and 128 GB memory. So you can decide, that from the different versions of the same product. So this practice is known as versioning. Why versioning? Because those who are willing to pay more, they can go for the higher version, and those who are not able to pay more, they can purchase the basic or the minimum, the basic level of the basic version of the product. So this is known as versioning. Similarly, is the case with cars. Every car comes into various versions. So there is a basic version, and there is a then highest version, and there are a lot of versions. So, for example, manual transmission version, automatic transmission version, petrol version, diesel version, and infotainment, without infotainment, uh, with more security, features, and with less security features. So every car comes into various versions. So a customer who is willing to pay more can go for the upper version of the product, and a customer who is not able to pay more can go for the basic version of the product. So this practice is known as versioning. Versioning. And this is a third degree of price discrimination, versioning. And in case of information goods, for example, softwares, this is also practiced in the case of softwares. Some softwares are available to the for the retail at a different price, for businesses at a different price. For students, it has a different price. From business, it has a different price. So different versions have different prices. So this practice is known as versioning. Now, any question, any observation, any comment that you want to make? So today what we have discussed, price discrimination. and 3 degrees of price discrimination. First degree of price discrimination, which is possible through auction. And second degree of price discrimination, which is based on the size and quantity of the transaction, quantity based. And the third degree is based on segmentation. Segmentation can be based on various factors. One of the segmentation is based on time, that is intertemporal. Now let me save your attendance.
Sir,
Yes.
you count the attendance by the names written on the chat or by taking the screenshot of the people attending?
No, by the name which is typed in the chat box.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for joining this class. Now I am signing off.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.